Boldwood presents Friends with Benefits, written by Laura Carter, and read by Jessica Preddy and Nathan Adams Stark. The moral right of the author has been asserted. This performance is owned by Boldwood. Chapter 1. Jake. 16 years ago. School is out, but like every day, I'm standing in the yard, kicking up dirt with my scuffed shoes, waiting for Emily. She always takes ages. I don't know what she does after the bell rings, but she's never out on time. Me, I get out of there as soon as I can, especially on a Friday. It's like she actually enjoys being at school. "Ah, look, Jake's waiting for his girlfriend again." That's Tommy, no-good-for-nothing Arnold, the biggest jackass in school. He was a nobody before the growth spurt last year that made him 3 inches taller than everyone else. He was already 10 inches wider. Fat ass. "Get stuffed, Tommy," I say, letting him hear the boredom in my voice. It's the same old every night, except for Wednesdays when Emily has gymnastics class and her mom picks her up. Tommy has his group of followers around him. Some of them are decent guys. I play football with most of them. He's too out of shape to play himself, so he pretends he's too cool for it. He's not. "Yeah, what are you gonna do, Jake? Cry about it with your girlfriend?" I take a deep breath through my nose and shake my head. He's not worth it. Bored of not getting a rise out of me, he heads off in the direction of home, punching one of the guys in the arm and no doubt trying to get a reaction out of him. It's like Mom says, one of these days, Tommy will be fat, bald, and stupid, so the joke's on him. "Finally!" I call when I see Emily making her way out of the school doors with 2 friends. They all have blonde hair and the same 2 pigtails braided down either shoulder. They all have on similar pink dresses and those bright princess backpacks they wear. She beams when she sees me, like she always does, as if she isn't expecting me to be waiting for her. In return, I give her a smile that lifts only one side of my mouth. I learned it from my brother, Drew. He's almost 10 years older than me, and he's pretty cool, not that I ever tell him as much. Apparently, it's a hit with the ladies, his lazy smile. I'm not sure why I do it around Emily. I guess I'm practicing on her for when I meet. "Bye, girls," Emily calls, waving off her friends while running to me. "Hey, Jakey." I want to be mad at her for being late, again, but I can't. She's just a kid. She's 2 years younger than me, only 8, and she's short, you know? I'm a protector, of sorts. That's what Mom says, anyway. That's why I have to walk her home every day. That and the fact we live on the same street, so it makes sense. We walk back along the sidewalk, which is speckled with sand from the gusts we've had on the island the last few days, blowing up from South Shore Beach. It's one of the things I love about Staten Island. Always being close to the beach. "What did you do at school today?" I ask her. She looks to the sky as she thinks. "Emily, your lace is untied." She shrugs and keeps walking. I come to a halt on the sidewalk. "Stop and tie your lace or you'll hurt yourself." She breathes out huffily but bends to fasten her lace. "You're so bossy," she grunts at me. "Yeah, well, you'd be calling me worse names if I let you fall and break your arm." "That wouldn't happen. You have to fall off a cliff or something to break your arm." "Oh, really? How would you know?" She shrugs again, but stares at her toes when she stands. I hate when she does this. It makes me feel like a douche. "Look, how about I race you home?" Although she doesn't lift her head, I can see from the way the sides of her face lift that she's smiling. I know any second now she'll turn and run. And she does. "You cheat every time!" I shout. I catch up to her, but not before she runs smack into Tommy Arnold, who's deliberately stepped in her way. It happens in a heartbeat. She looks up. Tommy pushes her back and she stumbles to the ground. As she does, his eyes are on me. Tommy doesn't care about Emily. He wants to pick a fight with me because I'm the popular kid and the only person Tommy needs to take out to be king of the jungle. "What do you think you're doing?" I snap at him as I help Emily to her feet. "I'm okay," she sniffs. I lift her chin and see her tears. I don't know why, but they throw me into some kind of rage. I can't see straight or think straight. I can only imagine putting my knuckles in Tommy Arnold's face. When I turn to him, he's already taking a swing at me, but he's slow and clumsy. I block his arm and put all my strength into my fist as I drive a punch into his nose. He rocks back but doesn't fall. The rest of his group backs away, clearly wanting to see how this pans out before picking a side. "Go home," I tell Emily. "I can see our street from here. She'll be fine." "No," Tommy laughs, hard and nasty. "Jakey, should we pick flowers together, Jakey?" "Go, Emily, I've told you." She starts to move, but Tommy blocks her, putting his forearm against her neck. Now he's really overstepped. I drive my whole body into him, taking us both to the ground. "Go, Emily," I shout one last time. As I watch her leave, Tommy gets an elbow into my nose. I shake my head, shaking off the blow. Then I find some superhuman strength and hold his neck, pinning him down as I smash my fist into his cheek. "Don't ever call me Jakey, and don't dare touch her again. You got that?" His head lolls to the side and blood starts to come out of his nose, but he nods. I get off him because I've made my point. I hate him. I hate that he dared to go near Emily and that I let him, when I'm supposed to be looking after her. But I know he won't be bothering either of us again. As I walk away, some of the other kids call to me. "That was awesome, Jake." "We knew you'd smash him, Jake." I hear a few bad names being hurled at Tommy, and I couldn't care. He deserves it. Maybe next year he won't start off being a jackass. When I get home, Mom is in the front yard with my brother and his best buddy, Brooks. Emily is clinging to Mom's legs. "See, he's just fine. You run along home now, Emily." Emily leaves my mom's side and rushes toward me on the driveway. "Your nose is bleeding." She reaches up to touch my face, but I clock the looks my brother and Brooks are wearing and pull back from her. "Go home, Em." "I'm sorry, Jake, this is my fault." She starts to sob. I look from my mom to Drew, then to Brooks. "It's not your fault, Em. Tommy wanted to pick a fight with me. Go home." "No, I can't leave when—" "Go home," I shout. She cries harder but heads down the street toward her house. I close my eyes, bracing myself for the tongue lashing from my mom, and when I open them, she is standing right in front of me. "Look at this," she says, raising her hand to my cheek and rubbing her thumb under my nose. "Are you going to tell me what happened?" I pull her hand away from my face, conscious my brother is watching us. "Yeah, Tommy Arnold got what was coming to him. Can I go inside?" Surprisingly, she takes a step back. I raise my chin to Drew and Brooks as I pass by. "Proud of you, man," Drew says. Brooks' hands come down on my shoulder. "Getting in a fight over a chick is like a rite of passage, man. Don't feel bad." My mom walks beside me, insisting I come inside to get cleaned up. I follow her into the house. "Hey, Jake," Brooks calls before I close the door. I turn to face him. "You should come to the gym with us sometime. We can teach you a few extra moves." I try to stay cool, but I know I end up grinning. "Yeah, maybe." Chapter 2. Jake. Now. I'm standing in a bar in Covent Garden, drinking a pint of English ale, a new ale to me, a Apparently it's brewed in Cornwall, which I'm told is on the south coast somewhere. It's smooth, creamy, maybe a new favorite. The Brits love their ale, I should tell you that. I've been living in London for 2 years now, since I took a job at a hedge fund over here right out of college at NYU. Why am I here in London? That's a long story, and one I don't feel like getting into right now, because it's Saturday night, and I'm enjoying beers with the guys. Well, guys and girls who keep coming over to talk to us, same difference. That one over there is absolutely gagging for it. The source of those words, leaning into my ear, is one of my roommates, Alex. He's a pompous twat, as the Brits say. Speaks like the royals, but give him one beer and he has none of their grace. His full name is Alexander Frederick Embersome Everington III. But God love him. He's a giant goofball, too. If he likes you, truly likes you, he'll move heaven and earth for you. Or pay someone to do just that. Now he's pointing to a leggy blonde, no meat on her bones, not much shorter than me at 6'2". She's sporting a face full of makeup and a sequin dress as short as the type Taylor Swift wears. It's out of place in the old English pub, but I'm guessing she's headed from here to a club in Soho. I'm bagging this one, Alex tells me, totally self-assured, and is probably right to be. Go get your Saturday night, I tell him. Leaning back against the bar, I watch him make a move, working his magic. My buddy Sean turns from the bar and hands me another beer, so I'm double parked. I drain my first as I accept the second. How does he do it? He asks. The blonde giggles and falls happily under Alex's arm. Charlie, a guy I work with, extricates himself from Blondie's friends and joins. Alex is unbelievably obnoxious, yet he pulls the hottest women every time. Maybe I'll start acting like a knobhead 24/7. I laugh because it's both true and well meant. It's that baby blonde preppy boy look, I tell them. If I ever have a son, I'm sending him to a boarding school to give him a start in life. The ladies love it. We all banter with each other a lot, but we all have each other's backs. Alex, Charlie, Sean, and me. We make up 4 of our usual Saturday night six-some. Charlie and Sean were the first guys I met when I moved across the pond. Charlie was working all kinds of jobs, mostly bar work, to supplement his income whilst he gains traction as a stand-up comedian in London's comedy clubs. Sean is a snooker player, a pro snooker player. He and Alex are childhood buddies and tried to hustle me one night. Charlie knows Sean from all the bar work, and Charlie is possibly the worst snooker player the world has ever seen. The other 2 of our six-some are Jess and Abby. I live with Jess. She's awesome. I mean, certifiably nuts, but such a laugh. And Abby is Sean's much finer other half. She's hot as hell and always looks stunning, even if you catch her on an errands day. I guess she feels like she has to make an effort all the time since she's had years of being pictured in magazines with Sean. Generally, though, they do all right when they're out. By that, I mean they don't usually get recognized unless some guy knows his snooker well. The girls will be here shortly. Jess is taking part in a fashion show tonight in which Abby is modeling. Jess designs clothes and accessories, which she sells in boutiques around the city. Her brand is slowly getting out there, helped by her regular fashion column in a free magazine they give out in the city's underground system. Tonight, it's only her accessories being used by other clothes designers, but it's still great publicity. Hey, Jake, did you go check out some bikes today? Sean asks. I swallow the ale in my mouth. I did. I saw a sweet Harley. I'm torn between that and the Yamaha I saw last week. I'll never understand motorbikes, Charlie says. It's suicide, especially in the city. Driving a car in the city is bad enough. In any case, you can't really get your speed up. Where's the fun? It beats the traffic. Plus, I can take her out on a weekend and tear up some dirt, I tell him. You're crazy. Do you know that? I chuckle. Yeah, you tell me nearly every day. You should think about it, Charlie, Sean says. Might help you and the ginger mullet pick up a woman. First, it's strawberry blonde. Secondly, you don't know what you're talking about, Charlie counters. He's right, Sean. Ed Sheeran and Prince Harry have made red cool. Sean looks from me to Charlie, seeming to contemplate the not at all serious discussion seriously. Then he says, Nah, I don't buy it. You'll always be a ginger loser to me. We're all laughing when a slender hip bumps into me accidentally on purpose, as its own flutters her eyelids, moving away from the bar with a glass of rosé in her hand. I'm sorry about that, she says. I subtly give her a once-over, her tight, white jeans, her black, fitted vest that fastens by one button at her navel, and under which she's sporting nothing but a push-up bra. Too obvious. But she did make the effort, so I'll kill 10 minutes on her. You always this clumsy? I ask, twisting to face her. She giggles like an airhead, high-pitched and way too overzealously. Not always. Only when I'm in a fluster. Hey, is that an American accent? After giving up on trying to hear her name above the music and spending 10 minutes listening to her tell me how much she'd love to visit Manhattan one day, I'm checking my watch. Sean and Charlie have found a couple of guys we know, Cash and Will, and have no intention of rescuing me. Alex seems to have disappeared with the blonde, most likely to her place or the bathrooms. He's a swift mover. Come on, Jess, I think. As if in answer to my call for help, I see Jess making her way up the stairs and into the bar with Abby. I motion to the bartender, and when I have his attention, I order a glass of Pinot Noir for Jess and a Semsauve for Abby. Sorry, babe, it's been good talking to you, but I've got to go. Make sure you see Manhattan one day, I tell the irritating girl as I move away from the bar. Sean gets to Abby and Jess at the same time I do. After I give the girls their drinks, Sean steals Abby away. When I'm left with Jess, I look her up and down, not subtly at all. She's wearing skinny jeans with turn-ups. She has on bright red heels, killer heels that make her already fine legs more than 3 inches longer, which have a small red and white check bow on the side, secured with a black button. I recognize the design as one of hers. I trail my eyes up to her blouse. In true Jess style, it's quirky, maybe even a little outrageous, but not as much as some of her stuff. This is a chiffon blouse. Layers of red, black, and white fabric. For all the layers, the cut of the top brings it in at the waist, and it sits neatly over her perfectly formed breasts, dipping just enough to give a teasing glimpse of her cleavage. Her long, brown hair has been pinned loosely, and a few rogues. I consider her face. She pouts for me, displaying her bright red lipstick. Her eyes are natural-looking but darkened with liner. Her cheeks have been bronzed, but not overly so. In one ear she has a gold stud, in the other, one dangling leaf. So? She asks, sipping her Pinot. I rock my head from side to side as if deliberating. Show me your bag. She holds up a black clutch. I know the style because she's told me before. The top of the purse is folded like an envelope, the triangle red with a button to match her shoes. I'd say you're like a 7. 7, I'll take it. I try not to let my smile show. My night just improved tenfold. Jess is my favorite person in England. My reason for being here these days, I guess you could say. How was the show? Not bad. I think I have an order for one of the designers. That's awesome. I hold up my ale. To you. Cheers. I love how she says that. It's so British, so Jess. Are you going to give me the lowdown? I saw the woman with the big boobs you were talking to when I arrived. I shake my head as I take a drink. Then I say, airhead. That's never stopped you. You think very little of me. Babe, don't be offended. That's just because I know you. Laughing, I tuck her under my arm and we make our way over to Sean, Abby, and Charlie. We've already lost Alex to a too skinny blonde with legs the length of Niagara, I tell her. The length of Viagra? I look down to her, taller even with her in heels, and roll my eyes. You can do better than that. That's fair. I'll try harder. Harder? Huh. Is there another bad joke coming? I ask. She smirks, and I know she's focused on the word coming. I know because I am too. Viagra. Harder. Coming. I almost groan. An hour later, we find Alex on the dance floor in a Soho club. He's holding on to the woman's hips as she grinds her ass into his crotch. Jess clinks her gin and tonic against mine. It's that time of night. We've switched from wine to clear spirits. All right, Jakey, let's play. What's the bet? She turns on the spot. I know she's considering the women in the club. Her. There. Pretty black dress, pink lips, wavy dark hair. She's hot? She is. I bet you can't get her number in the next 5 minutes. I drain the gin in my glass. I assess the girl. She looks confident. She's very attractive. You might think that would give me less of a chance, but the thing is, I know women. I know that the most attractive women don't get chatted up like their more average-looking friends. Good looks intimidate men, make them think, why would I put myself out there in a club for what is probably no more than a one-night stand and risk being turned down in front of my friends? And they ultimately decide there's no reason to try. They're safer betting on plainer women. But that's why when you do talk to the pretty girl, she's flattered. That's why I'll win this bet. Deal, I say, turning back to Jess. Best get yourself a tequila shot ready. I move off, feeling Jess's eyes burning into me. The girl in the little black dress is laughing with a group of friends. She's more attractive up close. I only have 5 minutes, so after checking that the fourth finger on her left hand is jewelry-free, I go right in for the kill. I slide my hand along the small of the girl's back, but I don't speak to her first. I speak to her friends. That's the in. Let the friends do some of the hard work for you. Let them smile approvingly. Get their attention. Then let the target know that, despite all her friends, who usually get chatted up, you want her. Evening, ladies. Cue the smile. It's quite clear to me you're having a sophisticated girls' night. The compliment. But I couldn't help noticing your friend here from across the bar. Now I look at the target and turn my big smile to a half, sexier smile. Hi, I'm Jake. Her eyes widen a little. I've nailed her right on. She's surprised by my approach. Aria, she says, holding out her hand. I take it, but kiss her cheek. That's a beautiful name. Is it British? Actually, my parents are Irish and Italian. Ah, I thought there was something a little exotic about you. I turn back to her friends. I don't want to interrupt your night, and I'm not the kind of guy who thinks you find anything lasting in a club. I see the swooning look about her friends' faces. But if it's okay with you, Aria, I'd like to take your number. Maybe I could take you out sometime. Her cheeks seem to flush. I've gotten to her, which means I'll also be walking away with her number. When I get back to Jess, she's already holding her shot of tequila in one hand and a lime in the other. You're too smooth-talking for your own good, Jake. I flash her a wink and tell the bartender to set down another shot. I can't let her drink alone. We each lick salt from our hands, then Jess counts us down. 3, 2, 1. The burn. Lime. Ah, that stuff never gets better, I say, laughing at Jess's screwed-up face and the way she bangs a foot on the floor. Time to dance? She asks, once I'm convinced her shot is staying down. We move into the crowd of sweating people drunk dancing. I take Jess's hand, making sure she's with me as we find the others. Abby immediately accosts her, so I start dancing around like a fool who is high on life. I do the running man, the dancing bear. I watch Jess move, her head drop back, her arms above her head. She looks happy, carefree, and, I can say this because we're friends, damn hot. Some guy obviously agrees because he worms up to her, his hands around her waist, his crotch against her ass. She smiles but lifts his hands from her hips. He doesn't take the hint, reaffirming his grip. She tries to wriggle free. When it doesn't work, her eyes meet mine. I step toward her and take her hands, tugging her to me. Glaring at the jerk behind her, I tell him, "Take your fucking hands off my girlfriend." The guy quickly shifts his attention from Jess to me, looks me up and down, I suspect realizing I'm 6'2" and seeing that I'm ripped beneath my black shirt since it's fitted and tucked into my gray slacks. He holds up his hands and backs off. I pull Jess tighter and she slots her legs either side of mine, fitting me like a glove. It's not like we're not up for dirty dancing. We just don't want to dirty dance with sweaty, pissed-up strangers. It's kind of an agreement we have. If one of us is stuck with someone in a bar or club, we pull out the boyfriend or girlfriend card. Most often, it's me telling men to keep their paws off her, but sometimes it cuts the other way. The track changes to one of Bieber's latest tunes, and I know Jess will ramp up the moves. She loves Bieber, no matter how much I tell her that at 30, she's too old for him. I will admit that his latest stuff isn't awful, but I'd never say that to her. I hold her waist as she leans back, her arms waving, her hips grinding into me. We dance together until she calls time for another shot. The bartender sets a light to 2 shots of Sambuca on the bar. I count us in this time and we shoot. The fire heats my throat and tips me over the edge from friendly drunk to horny. I watch Jess's neck as she swallows, knowing how good her skin tastes, knowing that when she's had Sambuca, our nights together are sensational. She brings her head forward and, as if we're completely in sync, which we usually are, I can sense that her lids are heavy. Her pupils dilate. "Is it home time?" she asks. I take her shot glass and step to her as I place it on the bar. I drag my hands down her back and roughly pull her hips into me. "It's home time." She laughs, the sound reverberating against my lips. "So serious. Making sure you get home to bed is no laughing matter." On the street, we try to flag a cab, but none of them have their lights on. We head down to Embankment and start walking by the Thames in the direction of home, our conversation interspersed with the kind of kisses that make me want to speed up the journey. By the time we make it to our building, I'm so desperate for her, my fly might pop. She unlocks the apartment door. The lights are out and there's no noise. Alex is still out, or maybe not coming home. I pick her up, wrapping her legs around my waist, and hastily press her back against the door, devouring her mouth as she frantically unbuttons my shirt. She wants this as much as I do. It's hardly a surprise. Our sex is out of this world. The best part of sleeping with your best friend is that you can tell each other exactly what you want. I wake up under the heat of London's sun, even though my blind is drawn. That's the first clue that it's late morning. Starfish on my bed, on top of the sheets, I shake my head quickly from side to side, assessing the extent of my hangover. I'm groggy, but I've had worse. The next thing to hit me is the sound of... what is that? Waves? Crashing waves? In case I need to state the obvious, there should not be crashing waves in the center of London City. I grumble to myself as I drag myself up to sit. After taking 10 seconds to come around, I push myself to my feet and find a pair of sweatpants to pull on. As I walk the corridor, the sound changes to something like animals in a jungle. I notice Alex's bedroom door is open and his bed made. I assume he stayed out last night. As I near the living room, I'm struck by the smell of burning bacon. When I open the door, the light from the floor-to-ceiling windows makes me squint. Jess is sitting in the middle of the living room, on the rug. She's wearing yoga pants and a t-shirt. Her legs are crossed beneath her and her hands resting on her knees. Her eyes are closed, and I notice her iPhone in the docking speakers, which I can only guess is where the sound of a howler monkey is coming from. What are you doing? I'm trying to get back into meditation. Christ, another fad. Why do I smell burning bacon? Oh, fuck! She springs up from the rug and runs to our small kitchen. I follow her in as she takes a grill tray from the oven. The fat of the English bacon, not streaky like in the U.S., is crispy but not altogether destroyed. Help yourself, she says. I'm having a meat day today because I'm trying out vegan for a week starting tomorrow. I move behind her, threading my arms through hers to grab a piece of crispy pig. Why in God's name are you trying vegan and meditating? She turns in my arms, her back pressed to the kitchen counter. I'm finding myself, she says, laughing as she bites the end of a piece of bacon. Seemed like I was finding you last night. She pushes my chest and sets about making us bacon butties, in her words. A butty is just a bread roll. I don't get why she calls it that. It's a Jessism, I guess. You don't need to find me. You know me. Very true. I'm going to a Tai Chi class later. You want to come? Absolutely not. Thanks, though. I take a butty from the plate in front of her and head into the living room. Can I turn off the monkeys? Yeah, I'm sufficiently cleansed for the day, I think. She comes into the room and nestles into one corner of the sofa, opposite me. Formula One okay? I ask, fishing the TV remote from behind the sofa cushion. She nods, chomping down on her food. For sure. I flick on the flat screen and we spend the next hour watching Hamilton thrash everyone else on the course. The other great thing about our arrangement is that there's no awkward next day. There's never a question of whether one of us wants more. She's emotionally scarred, and I'm too sensible to be burned by a woman again. End of. Chapter 3. Jake. Mondays. The reason God made Friday night, Saturday, and Sunday. He felt so bad about creating Monday. I set my takeout coffee cup down on my desk and boot up the inevitable, a full inbox. Don't get me wrong, I don't hate my job. In fact, I love working for one of the world's largest hedge funds. It just takes me a while to get going on a Monday morning, that's all. Before taking a seat, I hang my suit jacket on the hook in my office, dump my gym stuff in a drawer, and look out over St. James's Park. Have I mentioned that my office has a killer view? Well, I do. And because I'm in the office before the London stock, I get to watch people waking themselves up with a morning run, a dog walk, a coffee, and stroll. It may have been a last-minute choice to change from the New York office of Gold Rock Investments to London, but I am glad I made the decision. London is like New York in so many ways. Tall buildings, busy lives. But it seems brighter somehow, less claustrophobic. And I think it's funny watching the kind of Brits you find in the Chelsea and Kensington borough. The kind I work for, walking with a pole so far up their arse they look like toy soldiers. The best thing about London, though, is that I haven't been betrayed here. Sure, I miss my folks out on Staten Island. I miss my brother and friends. But here, I'm not reminded every day of the girl I loved and lost. Here he is, my best trader. Marcus Benedetti, also known as my boss, comes into my office. For you. He sets a white envelope on my desk. Great month last month. As he heads back out my office, he asks me if I had a good weekend, his words coming from along our 8th floor corridor. I don't bother answering. Instead, I sit at my desk, pulling up the NASDAQ exchange on one of my 3 screens, the FTSE on another, and my inbox on the third. I see the headline of an email that names me as the highest earner for the fund last month. Some months you win, some months you lose. I've been lucky that my bets on commodities and other alternative investments have been paying off lately. Kind of pleased with myself, I pick up the envelope Marcus left and lean back in my chair. I have 5 minutes until the FTSC opens. I slide out the letter and open it. My eyes immediately bulge as I gawp at the number of zeros printed on the check. I've had bonuses before, but this is NICE. Dragging a hand back through my hair, I exhale. Who'd have thought I'd be making this kind of money 3 years into my career? Little more than 3 years ago, I was tending a college bar. Now this. At 7:59, I interlace my fingers and stretch my arms out in front of me as I prepare for the exchange to open. By lunchtime, I have tracked my highest risk investments, put client money into energy markets I expect will prove highly lucrative, and I'm ready for a break. There's a sushi bar on the ground floor of the building, and there's a large sashimi salad with extra wasabi that has my name all over it. I pull on my suit jacket, black because Jess tells me my tan skin and dark hair mean I can pull it off. And we don't wear ties in the office. We aren't as pompous as lawyers and accountants. Given it's close to 2 p.m., there isn't a huge line. That's why I've trained my body to crave food at this time. I pay for my salad. Does it count as a salad if it's full of fish and rice? And make for the self-serve counter to pick up chopsticks and a napkin. Except I can't pick up my chopsticks and a napkin because Natasha is standing between me and my cutlery, leaning back against the counter, the glint of, "Let's go to bed," in her eyes. I can confirm that Natasha looks good in and out of clothes, but she's as loose as a slip knot. I only ever broke my rule and went back for seconds because she's very good at yoga and all that implies. And yes, I do go for seconds with Jess too, but let me get one thing straight. Don't think I make an exception to my rule for Jess because she's the one or something. Jess and I have an arrangement. We've had an arrangement since a drunken night on the sofa 2 months ago, when we were both feeling horny but wanted to have sex with no strings, and with someone who could understand what we each want. Back to Natasha, and the fact she has put the tip of her index finger into her mouth as she wraps her hand around her lower waist, drawing my attention to her hips beneath her skin-tight pencil skirt. "I haven't seen you down here for a while, Jake." I signal for her to move aside so I can get my chopsticks. "Then you mustn't have been around because I'm down here almost every day at the same time." She giggles, despite the fact I wasn't joking. "Right. Listen, I'm having a girls' night with a few friends this Saturday. We're going out on Kings Road. You'd be welcome to come say hi." I pull off the white paper packet from my chopsticks, bending around her to use the trash can. "Wouldn't that defeat the point of having a girls' night?" She giggles again. There's not much between the ears with this one. "Right. Well, maybe you could bring some friends. We could make it a mixed group." "Sounds great, but I'm in New York this weekend." I start to walk away. "New York? New York with who? I love New York." I lose the sound of her voice as I step onto the marble floor of the lobby and out through the revolving door to Pall Mall. The sun is out, lighting up the beige stone buildings. Pall Mall is my favorite street in London. You would think I'd dislike it maybe because I work here, but it reminds me of Wall Street, Lower Manhattan. Home. Maneuvering through suits, running to meetings and talking into cell phones, then navigating the traffic, I head down Marlborough Street and cross the road to wander in. I find a free bench and take a pew, leaning forward across my knees to finally dive into my bowl of protein. This is a lunch that would win the approval of Brooks, who is a fitness trainer and nutritionist to the rich and famous in NYC. As I have that thought, I remind myself to transfer the bonus I got this morning to my mom's bank account. My parents think I don't know that my brother paid for my college tuition. I'm not saying I'm unloved. I was definitely loved. But it's no secret I was also a mistake. I'm the youngest of 3. Drew is almost 10 years older than me. My sister, Millie, is 8 years older. Anyway, they had me and they gave me everything I needed, but definitely not everything I wanted. I was far from spoiled. But they gave me all they could. When it came to college, though, it would have cost them their retirement fund to send me. So I know Drew paid for my tuition and that they have some kind of pact to keep it secret. I think it's a pride thing. I'll thank Drew one day. For now, I transfer money to Mom's account to pay my parents back. Knowing them, they'll pass the money right on to Drew. Drew won't want it. They'll argue. Eventually, my mom will win because she always wins. She's Mom. Heart of gold, determination of a gladiator. Excuse me, do you mind if I sit? I take my eyes from the salmon nipped between my chopsticks and follow the bare legs of what I can only describe as a MILF. I do a quick assessment. No ring on the 4th finger of her left hand, but a beast of a rock on the 4th finger of her right hand. I'd stake money on her being a divorcee, and since I gamble for a living... Please, take a seat. I'd enjoy the company. She nods shyly, but flashes me a small smirk. Cheeky. Foxy. American? She asks as she sits, crossing one of those fine legs over the other beneath her tailored dress. New York. You don't sound like a Londoner. Ah, no. I'm from Manchester originally. She tucks a loose tendril that's fallen from the clip holding up her hair behind her ear. I moved to London almost 6 years ago with someone, but it didn't work out. Bingo. Forgive me, I know we've just met, but any man who walked away from you must be crazy. She raises a brow and sips from her takeout coffee cup. You assume it was a man. I feel my eyes narrow, playing along, but I know she's toying with me. She's sending pheromones all through my body. She laughs before I have to respond. Okay, it was a man.